If you're an OnlyFans creator making under 10K per month, then I'm going to tell you something that most creators don't want to hear. Your problem probably isn't your content, but it's most likely your chat. Because subscriptions are like entry tickets. The real money on OnlyFans is in the conversation. The difference between a 5K creator and a 30K creator is usually not the followers, right? It's the chat system behind the account. So most creators think the money comes from the subscriptions, right? But it doesn't. So I'm going to do a full breakdown. Subscriptions are predictable income, but the real revenue comes from pay-per-view, custom content, and upsells inside the DMs. So for example, right? So you got two creators, right? Where the money actually comes from. So you got creator A, subscriptions $8,000, DM sales only 1K. So total she's making 9K. Creator B with subscriptions at 8K, DM sales at 17K, in total she's making 25K. And the difference is that they're the same subs, but completely different systems. And the problem is that most creators don't have a system. So most of their chat sounds like this, like, hey babe, hey, how are you? I'm good. What are you doing? I'm just chilling. And then the fan disappears. And that conversation was never going to make money because there's no direction, there's no emotional engagement, and there's no escalation. So it's just random chat, which means random income. So if your chats look like, hey babe, how are you? You're running a hobby and you're not actually running a business. So there are 4 stages when it comes to selling a fan. So you got number 1, right? Connection building. So connection building, this is the beginning of the fan flow. Every new fan has to go through this stage first. It doesn't matter if they seem like they want to start a sexting session right away, if they're asking to buy content right away, or if they're just saying hello. So the purpose is to build rapport and emotional connection with fans before anything sexual or transactional actually happens. So this is where we build the foundation of the connection. If you skip this stage or you move through it too fast, you completely destroy the value of the connection and it makes everything else in the flow harder to sell and harder to sustain. We move on to stage 2, which is sexual connection. So the purpose is to build sexual tension without rushing into explicit talk or sales, because moving too quickly kills perceived value. The fans think he can get everything instantly and then he just suddenly just stops chasing. So this is where we begin to build sexual tension, but we do it in a very controlled way. So stage 2 is about slowly moving things in a sexual direction without giving away too much too soon. So the mistakes a lot of chatters make is jumping straight into heavy sexting. This kills the build up. So what do we know about dopamine, right? It is released during anticipation. If you move through this stage too quickly, you'll limit dopamine release, which limits your end-to-end impact, the fans' enjoyment of the experience, and ultimately your cash collected. So stage 3, opening the sales. So the purpose is transition from connection and sexual tension into the first sale. So up until this point, we've been focused on building connection and then creating sexual tension. So now we move into the first sale, and the way you handle this moment is critical. The first sale sets the tone for the entire financial relationship with the fan. And if you handle it right, they'll see your content as rare, valuable, and worth paying for again and again. But if you handle it wrong, you'll cheapen yourself, and every sale after this will be even harder. Then we've got stage 4, which is one of the arguably most important stage, which is aftercare. And this stage is just as important as all the others. Too many chatters make the mistake of thinking the job is done once the fan buys, but that's just not the case. So the fan is the most vulnerable immediately after the purchase. So this is when post-nut clarity hits, and if you don't manage it, the fans can feel regret, transactional distance, or even resentment. And if that happens, he's far less likely to buy again. So aftercare actually prevents this. And the purpose is to protect the fan's relationship after a sale and prevent post-purchase regret. So next we move on to the real problem. And most creators don't lead the conversation, they're actually just reacting, right? High earners guide the interaction towards a sale. So yeah, a chat should have a direction. So example of a flow, you've got the hook, then you engage, and then you build tension, and then you sell. So the highest earning creators don't just reply to messages, they run an actual system. So this is an example of a good and a bad system. So a bad system example, so fan messages, creator replies, fan replies, creator replies, and there's no actual goal, you're just reacting, you're just chatting. It's just a mess with no structure or actual intent behind it. But with a good system, you've got the hook, then you've got engagement, and you've got emotional build, you've got the tease, and then you have the pay-per-view. And this is a good example of a good system and just a messy, bad system. And still to this day, this is one of the biggest things creators miss about subs and about the fans. Fans don't buy content, they buy the emotional experience. So if a fan opens a video immediately after subscribing, it feels transactional, right? It feels salesy. But if there's actual build up and there's actual anticipation behind it, there's teasing behind it, then the purchase feels exciting for the sub. So for example of what not to do, just send a video and just say, here's a video for $20. And another example of what to do, say something like, I just filmed something, I probably shouldn't send it. Or you can say, you're going to be the only one seeing this. And now that fan feels curious because you just built curiosity. So as we move here, no emotional build up, emotion drives sales. So building a strong bond and connection is how you keep fans coming back month after month for an extended period. So the most important metric of any fan is their lifetime value, right? The worst thing you can do, and what many inexperienced chatters do, is have what we call commission breath, right? Trying to oversell, hard sell, or use quick sell tactics will drive subscribers away from the page faster than anything else. And if you're constantly trying to sell subscribers content over regularly, they will get bored or annoyed and just stop engaging with you. This brings on to the next thing. Knowledge is power, right? Fans' name. Use the subscriber's actual real name instead of calling them things like daddy or babe. Unless they specifically ask for it, then that's absolutely fine. But people subconsciously love to hear their own name. It can be even more effective to pepper in pet names like the above and not to overuse their own name to the point where it just feels weird. So you got curiosity, you got connection, you got tension, then you build desire, and then the purchase happens. But you have to keep in mind, not every fan spends the same. Treating everyone the same just kills your revenue. So you have to break it into three types. You've got low spenders, spending $0 to $50. You've got medium spenders, $50 to $500 plus dollars. Then you've got the whales spending $1,000 plus. And high earners treat these types of groups differently. We've got the fan spending behavior and values. So take this to account as just an example. It all goes down to how much your creator is making or how much you are making. Just take this is just an example with the pricing. So lifetime spend, we'll go with whales, right? So we'll start with the whales, right? $5,000 plus or $1,000, right? So the pricing strategy is always charge premium or highest tier, skip discounts, and focus on exclusivity, customs, and personal attention. Then below you've got the VIP fan, so the lifetime spend of $1,000 to $5,000. The pricing strategy for this is the high prices, only negotiate for large bundles or repeat customs. Then the tier 2 spender, $500 to $1,000. So pricing strategy is to start high, open to light negotiation to close the sale. Then tier 1 spender, lifetime spend $500. The pricing strategy, lower entry prices, use scarcity and time limit offers to move them up tiers. Then time waster, lifetime spend $50 but chats a lot. So pricing strategy is low ticket offers only, upsell slowly if they respond. Then a disengaged sub, so spending activities like 0 after 30 days. Pricing strategy, mass messages only, no customer attention until they actually start spending. Now next, one of the biggest mistakes creators make is trying to sell to people who never actually buy. So the thing with high earners, what they do differently is they identify the buyers early. And how to do this, for example, ask questions like, what kind of content do you like? Or are you more into videos or pics? And why do we do this? It's because buyers engage differently. So no buyer qualification, identify buyers early. So the key is to learn before you earn. So when speaking to a new person, could be a new or expired sub, try to learn about them before you start to sell them content. Ask questions, show interest in their job, hobbies, family, friends, and experiences. So here are some really powerful things you can say to subscribers to get to learn more about them. For example, sorry to keep annoying you with questions, there just aren't many interesting people on here. Or it's so nice to be able to have a general conversation with someone on here, I really appreciate it. Or you seem like you would have a really interesting job. So as the subscriber tells you things, fill out the notes so other people can continue building the connection. So not sending fans content straight away will make them believe you actually enjoy talking to them, as most people just send pay-per-views immediately. And if you don't have chatters on your page, then just put them in the notes anyway, because it's really important too, so you can go back on the conversation. But yeah, if you're just doing a chat by yourself, then that's absolutely fine. And yeah, waiting to send content can make subscribers want it more than if you just force it on them, right? And it also increases their perceived value of the content as it seems harder to get it. And that's what we're aiming for. So it's here, right? New subscriber, engagement questions, buyer signals from these engagement questions, and then you can start sales targeting. And the buyer signals, so fast replies, flirting, asking questions, asking for content. So even when creators make a sale, they stop. And that's one of the biggest mistakes they can make, and that's leaving them so much money on the table. So the thing is that some creators don't realize is that buyers are way more likely to spend right after they've already bought. For example, fan buys $20 video, weak system, right? Broken, we know this, it's a weak system. So fan buys a $20 video, there's a weak system, so the conversation ends, right? We all know this. But with a strong system, you can ask questions like, if you like that one, wait until you see what I filmed after. And the key is to upsell. If you don't have an actual upsell system, then you need to make the upsell ladder. So for example, $10 to $20 pay-per-view, then $30 to $50 pay-per-view, $75 to $100 custom, and $150 plus bundle, and then $500 plus whale. And the key with the upsell ladder is that sales momentum matters. This builds momentum, and this really does matter. So this is a full funnel. So revenue is made in the DMs, and this is a whole funnel breaking it down. Subscriber, the subscriber, and then use an engagement hook. For example, hey, what kind of content are you into? Then you start the emotional build, which, for example, conversation, flirting, personality, teasing, and just building rapport. Then you add the tease. So you can say, for example, I filmed something today, but it's kind of risky. Then they're in, then you drop the pay-per-view, send the locked content. Then after that, you upsell. So once they've brought, you can say, for example, if you like that one, wait until the next one. Something like that. Subscriptions are entry tickets, and this is a key thing to lock in. And DMs is a revenue engine. So under 10K creators focus on subs, random chats, there's no actual system, and there's low pay-per-view sales. And the 20K creators have a structured chat system, segmentation, upsells, and daily back-end revenue. So the thing you need to lock in is that creators under 10K rely on subscriptions, and the creators making over 10K per month rely on a back-end monetization. And the key mindset to have is that subscriptions are entry tickets, and DMs is where the revenue is actually being made. So if your chats look like random conversations, you're leaving a huge amount of money on the table. And this is exactly what we build for our creators in our partnership, with a full back-end monetization system that turns subscribers into high-value buyers. Because traffic gets attention, but chat converts attention into actual money. So if you guys enjoyed this breakdown, enjoyed this video, hope this video brought any value to you. If it has, let me know in the comments. If you guys got any questions, put them in the comments. DM me on Instagram at BAMSOFM. And yeah, that's it for this one. See you guys next time. Boom.